Hello, my name is Roslyn Anongo, a licensed professional counselor and covenant crisis therapist at Living Water Family Therapy in Round Rock, Texas, and you are watching Living Water for Real Life, a podcast for women in covenant crisis and weary mamas. And today we are going to be talking about Situationships 101, the cost of being a wife without a ring. A client said to me, I love him, I want him, and we are living together, but he says he's not ready to get married. And if this sentence sounds like something that you've heard or you've said before, then this episode is for you. In today's society, situationships become the norm. Date, sex, move in, pregnancy, baby, but then what? You're giving up your body, your heart, your time and your energy with no public choosing by the man that you're with. And you were made for so much more. Your heart and your body are tender, and you deserve TLC that a situationship cannot fill. Let's talk about why being a wife without a ring is so painful. Whenever you end up dating someone and giving your heart to them and having sex with them and moving into with them, then you end up fusing your life together. And whenever you do that, it creates a deep bond and a sense of attachment. And whenever there's no sense of commitment in there or even intentionality in that, it can make it really difficult to feel safe and secure in the relationship. And then if you end up getting pregnant or you have other children that are involved in the relationship, it makes it difficult for them too because they end up having a hard time separating whenever things don't work out. And also, sometimes they're left with questions as to why mommy and daddy are not together or why so and so is with somebody else or um, even feeling like it could potentially be their fault whenever things don't work out. And so, in this day and age, a man proposes with a ring, and that ring is a public symbol that he has chosen um, a wife and set himself apart for one particular woman. This reminds us of Genesis 2:23, where Adam says, "This is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called woman." Even though she was given to him by God, he still had to choose her and give her a purpose, and which was his wife. And so, in that, Adam still had a choice. Even though God took Eve from his bones, well, from his rib, God, Adam still had to choose her to make her his wife, and so that's the reason why this can seem really painful, especially if your boyfriend is not choosing you in a way that feels public and feels significant. Um, what marriage does, I know that a lot of people think that marriage is just a piece of paper that binds two people together legally. Marriage is much deeper than that. What it is it is a spiritual covenant that was created by God to not only create and rear children, but also to create a deep sense of attachment and emotional stability as well as physical stability. Because whenever a couple is together and they meld their lives together well, then they're able to take care of things financially. They're able to be more emotionally grounded. They're able to be spiritually grounded, and also statistics show that men and women who are in long lasting healthy marriages live longer and have a more satisfied life than those who are not. And so this is where boundaries come in. Whenever you talk about switching a situationship into a marriage and or something that is more sustainable and has grounding to it. You cannot control his choosing, but you can control his access. Meaning, instead of being in that wife role that takes care of him, who does all these things and cleans the house and tends to him sexually and all that, you don't have to do that, especially if he's not your husband. And what you can do is you can set a boundary around your body, your time, and your heart, and what you're willing to keep giving without the marriage covenant. And so, um, if this is you and this is landing for you, I want you to know that you are not alone and that you're not foolish for being in this situation. A lot of times, women, not just women, but people in general, end up in the situation because of either financial issues or feeling like that it's like that they're being pressured to do so. Maybe some people end up in this type of situation because there has been a pregnancy or there is another child involved, or maybe it's some other reason. People get into situationships for a variety of reasons, and just because you're in a situationship does not mean that you're doomed and that that's the end of the relationship and or the end of you. So, um, and you're not too much for wanting something more solid than just okay, I love you and we'll get engaged someday. You're worth much more than that. And that's not God's best for you. Um, Situationships are harmful and can have long lasting physical, emotional, and spiritual effects that can trigger relationship dysfunction and lead to low self esteem, self worth, anxiety, and depression. And so, what can you do about this if this is the situation that you're in? Well, what you can do is you can set healthy boundaries with your partner. You can limit access and or restrict sexual access, and limit the amount of time that y'all are spent alone together to where temptation might occur. Um, you can also move out if y'all are living together. Um, if y'all are living together, then that's also an option. Um, And if you have kids together, you could move into more of a co-parenting role versus okay, I'm going to fulfill the wife mother role for your partner, versus just being an active parent to your children. Um, and so I actually had a situation that I knew of where I had a client who had been living with this man for a while, and she was a Christian. She did want to straighten out her life, and she did want to get back on track, not just because it wasn't working for her, but she also wanted to get more control over her life and her self-esteem and her value. So what she did was she ended up telling him that, hey, if we're not going to get married and you're not sure if you want to pursue this long term, and be committed, then I'm going to move out. And she did, and now their relationship is much stronger because she was able to set that boundary with him, and they even did move towards engagement and marriage, so it is possible. Um, and some other things that you could do if you do find yourself in this situation is you can practice some good self-care, meaning you can get some quality friends and a good support system to love on you while you're establishing these boundaries. And also get some extracurricular activities to help to reduce your free time so that you're not just sitting around doing nothing and ruminating. Um, You can take care of yourself physically, eat, sleep, take care of your physical health and exercise. All of those things will help you feel better. And you can also limit how much access he has to you, meaning your time, your money, your body, and even your emotional well-being, and even your emotional access as well. um, and so I want to encourage you to make a plan for you, meaning decide what you are willing to accept and for how long. And also, if he's not interested in marriage, be willing to move out, or even give him an ultimatum. Sometimes that works. Um, and also um, spend time doing things that inspire you, and also allow yourself to be sad and to heal. Whenever you're going through a situation where you feel like that you're stuck, it can feel very discouraging and also very upsetting. And I want you to know that you're not alone in that. And there are quite a few women who deal with that right now, whether it be women that are dating someone who is not ready to commit, whether it's a young woman who ends up finding a guy and getting pregnant by him, or maybe it's just someone who's just dating this guy and they are now living together indefinitely. I want to encourage you to figure out what's best for you and take actionable steps to move away from that, so that way you are able to protect your own body and your own mental health and well-being. And if this episode landed for you, I encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with another woman who you feel like could benefit. Episodes of Living Water Family Therapy, um, episodes of Living Water for Real Life can be accessed on Facebook, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And just search Living Water for Real Life. And if you are in the Texas area, and would like to work with me, then I am accepting clients both in person and virtually, in my Round Rock office. And so I thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Living Water for Real Life. My name is Rosalind Nyanongo, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.